considered verses 11 and 12. Verse 13, there is a generation, oh, how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. Remember, we are trying to talk about creating free energy for ourselves. And in the past, we have considered the fact that there are some people that doesn't have regard for father or mother. They don't bless father, they don't curse, they curse their father, they don't bless their mother. And as a result of that, the Bible tells us that a child who curses father or mother, his light shall be put out in obscure darkness. And so some people don't know that they were creating for themselves the things that were going to destroy them. And in the last two segments, we looked at verse number 12. So there are people that are always pure in their own eyes, and yet they're not free from their own filthiness. There are people that we see, and the people we are talking about are not just anybody. We are trying to talk about particularly young people, because your future starts today. Your tomorrow is in everything that you do today. Everything that you're associated with today will affect your tomorrow. And so we are told in that verse 12 that they do things that they like to do, say things that they like to say, but don't like the things that they do, don't like the things that they say. They are pure in their own eyes. Everything that they do, they just do it because they want to do it. Like they know everything, but yet they are not cleansed from their filthiness. And it's a destructive generation. That's why we said that it was a self-destruct generation. In this verse number 13, it said there is a generation. There is a generation, this kind of generation, they are lofty at their eyes. In other words, their eyes are looking to very high things, are lofty at their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. What is that supposed to mean? I mean, what does it mean to have lofty eyes and eyelids lifted up? And that's what we want to consider briefly, because there are things that young people, you do them, you're so free in doing them, especially when it is a part of your nature. There is an outbound character. There are people that you will see that their lives are made with what is around them, whereas there are some people that their lives are made with what is within them. In other words, their motivation, the excitement in life, the fulfillment in life come from what is around them. They are a kind of people's persons. So they think of what people are going to say and live by what people are going to say. If you speak against them, everything about them crumbles. But if you motivate them a little bit, you talk to them a little bit, and they are excited, they're excited because of what you have said. There are people like that. They are kind of outbound people. So briefly, we are going to be looking at untoward attitudes that destroy people as a result of their nature. Untoward attitudes. Now, there is a strength in this character, in which you're a people's person, and you are thinking of what people are going to say, and so you live according to the in thing, what is around you. You know, there is something about a chameleon. Chameleon can be anything that the environment wants it to be, because if it gets to a black environment, it changes to something dark. If it gets to the green, it changes to something green. If it gets to the white, so there are people like that. Now, there is a place where it is powerful, because you can mix freely, you can exist easily, you can fit into any segment of society. If you get to the rich, you can be like a rich man, even though you're poor. And if you get to the poor, you can bring yourself like a poor man, even though you're very rich. Why? Because your eyelids are seeing. The Bible says there is a generation that their eyelids are lifted up. They see. Because their eyelids are lifted, it's not down, they're looking up, so they see. But the danger is this: even though you are a people's person, you're an outgoing person, you're an outbound person, you find your fulfillment or excitement from around you. There are things that you may naturally ignore without knowing. And as a result of that, you destroy yourself by what is outside you because of the things that you are seeing. When this comes, you change to be like that. When this comes, you change to be like that. So you don't have life of your own. You are living for other people. And the danger is that when the world around you notice that you're a kind of person like that, they begin to control you without you knowing that they are the ones controlling you. So you live for yourself. There are people that earn salary, but they cannot say, this is what I'm doing with my salary, because there are people that they are trying to please. Now, on one end, there's nothing wrong because somebody is happy about it. You're putting smiles on the faces of people. But on the other hand, you cannot give account of what you are doing because you are a man pleaser. And in the same vein, when people speak against you, you lose your composure. You are no longer able to concentrate. For instance, you can be a blessing to people and people are happy. And the moment one person turns against you, you find yourself that you are broken. You're destabilized because of that one person, and the next person suffers as a result of that. That means that you are not who you are. And as a result, this generation of young people particularly, they do untoward things, things that are unthinkable, depending on the society or the segment of society they find themselves, depending on the person that influences them. If A is influencing them, they want to be like A. They want to satisfy A. If B is influencing them, they want to be like B. They want to satisfy B. And as a result of that, they find themselves at a particular time that they are not satisfying. They are trying to satisfy everybody, but are not able to satisfy everybody. And nobody can satisfy everybody. They want to have friends all around them, and yet among the people that they are calling friends are their enemies. There is a generation, how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. They are always looking up. Life is not always about looking up, but there must be a time that you look down. But the matter we are trying to deal with is not just about the fact that you are looking up or your eyelids are lifted up, but the matter is that you are sometimes supposed to look down, but you are not able to look down. Not because you don't want to look down, but because it's not in you to look down. There's a story. It's a story of the tortoise and the spider. Sorry, the scorpion. Now, it was said that the tortoise, the tortoise is a swimmer. It's a aquarian creature. So it wanted to cross the river to the other side. And look at the spider. The spider said, please take me along. The tortoise said, no, I can't take you along because I know that if I take you along, you're going to sting me. And if you sting me, I'm going to drown. And the spider was said to have said, how can you say, I will sting you and you'll drown? If you drown, I'll go down with you. So what is the rationale in stinging you? And the tortoise was said to have thought about it and said, well. You have a point there. There's no rationale in stinging you. In you stinging me, because if I go down, you go down. He said, hop in, let's go. And it was said that they were going. But right at the middle of the river, the scorpion stung the tortoise. And the tortoise shouted and started sinking. And the tortoise said, this is what I told you before we started. And you told me that there's no rationale in stinging you. And the scorpion said, this is not about rationale. There's actually no rationale in stinging you. But it is in me to sting. It's my nature to sting. In other words, the scorpion was saying that I do stinging involuntarily because it's a part of me. I don't even plan to do it, I just do it. And there are things about people. When we're talking about the eyelids lifted up, they're always carrying their face up. Sometimes they're thinking of things that are too high for them. They want to always hear themselves talking. They are unreliable. They are undependable. You can't trust them for anything. They are shifty. If they see this, they want to be like this. If they see the other, they want to be like the other. They are like everything but like nobody. They want everything but have nothing. They are asking for everything but receive nothing. They are taking everything but retain nothing. It is just because it's in their nature. And if you're a young person, that is your nature, then you are in trouble. Because you find yourself that sometimes you are working so hard, but you don't have result of your work. And you may think that it is even witches and wizards or evil spirits that are responsible. I'm not trying to say that witches and wizards may not operate. But I'm trying to say that you are the one responsible because that's your nature. And you need to conquer that nature now. Because a time will come, you'll see that that nature plays against you. You'll be marked as an unreliable person and a person without an identity. Because you're controlled by everybody. You see, there are some people that are very wealthy, but they have become monsters through their money. What has happened? Because there are people that control them. You get to them personally, you see that they're very good people, they are nice people, they are people that you love to relate with. But you can't relate with them without them hurting you, because there is somebody that will take advantage of them against you or against your loved ones. Why? Because they have not owned themselves. You need to learn to own yourself. You need to be in charge of your outer world and your inner world. And in the next 1 or 2 segments of this program, that's what we want to deal with. Because a lot of young people, as a result, have lost so many things. I want you to think about dropouts from school. I want you to think about people who started businesses and the businesses crumble. I want you to think about young people that have destroyed their marriages. I want you to think about men that are so daring. Anybody that sees them say, oh, this is the kind of husband I want to have. This is the kind of friend I want to make. But somewhere they are disappointing the people, or have disappointed the people that they are relating with, or that have taken them into confidence. I want you to think about a woman that everybody say, oh, this is a wonderful wife. I wish that she married my brother, she married my son, she married my nephew, and so on. And they get them married and they discover that they are a pest. They just get embarrassed and frustrated that, oh, I'm sorry that I ever thought of getting these people married. A lot of people have entered into marriages with excitement and wonder why, before long, that marriage has crumbled. Because there's a generation that have their eyelids lifted up. Their eyes are so lofty. They're looking above only. Like I said, there is a power in it. But if you're not in charge of it, the world around you will rule you and will destroy you. And that's the reason why you need to deal with it as a young person now. It is your time to rise up. It is your time to conquer your outer world. You see, God never created you to be controlled by the environment. Remember, in Genesis chapter 1, the Bible tells us, God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the face of the earth. Let him have dominion. And God blessed them, and God said, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it. In other words, man is supposed to be in charge of his environment. His environment is not supposed to be in charge of him. And that means that every social activity must be under your control. Every person you meet in the outer world must be under your control. You must bring them under, as long as they relate with you. You must be in charge of who you are. They are not to dictate your life. Because if other people dictate your life and you're living their life, it means you don't have a life. And if you don't live your life, who is going to live your life? God created you to be somebody. He created you to manifest grace, manifest honor, manifest dignity. And only you can actually do that. And that's the reason why we need to deal with this. If you are that generation that have eyes always lifted up, and you're lofty in your looks, Ask yourself, who is in charge? You have to be honest. You have to be frank. You have to deal with yourself, because there are issues in life that nobody deals with for you. Your pastor can do it. Your parents can do it. Your teachers can do it. Your mentors can do it. You have to deal with it yourself. And if you think that just because you did fasting and prayer, you have taken care of it, you're still having another thinking to do. It's not enough for somebody to lay hands on you this time. It's about the realities of your life which you must face. And I'm going to continue with that in the next study or discuss. Let's pray. Father in heaven, I thank you for the privilege this very morning to share with your children. I pray that you break away those things and help them to conquer those discrepancies and deficiencies that the enemy has used to hold them down. There's a generation whose eyelids are always lifted up and they're always lofty in their views. Help us to come down. Let our eyes come down so that we'll be able to see clearly. Thank you for the answer. In Jesus Christ's name we pray.